Hey, you're hanging out in the Link Up Lounge. I'm Tiffany Mason.
And I'm Donna Ruppel. Around here, we believe success isn't just about what you know, it's about who you link up with. This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Donna, it blows my mind that the two of us have over 30 years of combined networking experience.
I know! We've built businesses, expanded networks, and created unstoppable momentum, all through the power of strategic connections.
AKA networking. And now we're here to guide you to do the same, starting today.
So let's dive in, connect, and start making moves you didn't even know were possible. Welcome back to the Link Up Lounge. I'm Donna Ruppel, your Nocatee real estate expert, and I'm here with my co-host, Tiffany Mason of Virtually You, the boutique podcast management agency.
This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities. And today we're talking about the sneaky voice that can stop you from ever making that connection. Impostor syndrome.
We're getting honest today because even confident, capable business owners struggling with thoughts like, do I really belong here? Am I good enough to be in this room? What if they find out I'm not as put together as I look online? That's a real one.
Let me do a little side note that I've realized. Even like Fortune 500 companies, I mean, nobody's got a well-oiled machine in the background. Very, very few. But imposter syndrome is real, and it's especially loud in networking spaces where we feel exposed, compared, or even less than. Especially if you're new in your business or you're young in your career, it's easy to walk in and realize somebody is older than you in the same profession, and why would anybody in that room choose you over them? But it's just like podcasting space or writing a book or public speaking. Nobody's heard it in your voice. No one has experienced that business through your, process or system. And so it's really important to be confident. And if you got to fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. I know me personally, I know a lot of podcast managers, but they don't conduct their business the way I conduct business. And so you just never know. You might be doing better than the person who's done it for 33 years. You just never know. So don't let that stop you. Don't let imposter syndrome take over.
The way through isn't waiting until you feel more qualified, in other words. It's showing up anyway. Showing up anyway, because you're never going to feel comfortable. You're never going to get over that imposter syndrome, and you're never going to feel more qualified unless you work your way through it. It's kind of like you just have to walk through the whole mess before you get to the other side. So go ahead and just show up anyway with honesty, intention, and the courage to connect, even when your inner critic is screaming at you.
Oh man, your ego is not your amigo in this situation, for sure. I know somebody in our networking group just shared a quick tip on something that could be a business success, and it was about, what are you resisting? And that kind of makes me feel like this too. I think imposter syndrome makes us resist things, right? And so we think a networking event, I'm not qualified to be there. I don't have the credentials. I don't have the letters behind my name. I don't have the years of experience. And so we resist going. But, the tip was, whatever you're feeling resistance to the most, that's probably what you need to be doing. So if you're feeling a lot of networking resistance, that's probably what you want to be doing. This episode is for anyone who has ever talked themselves out of attending, introducing themselves, or sharing their story because they felt like a fraud. Today, we're going to help you move past that fear and into genuine confidence.
So let's talk about how imposter syndrome shows up in networking. Imposter syndrome doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just whispers, like, I don't have enough experience. They're way ahead of me. They've been in business longer than me. They have a bigger following than me. They've taken over this territory. I'm not as polished as I should be. My headshot isn't as professional as so-and-so's. I don't have the right branding photos, all these things that go on in your head. I love how some people say, well, my potential customer isn't in this room, or my potential customer isn't connected to these people. I hear that one too. Some people say this networking event isn't for me because my customer isn't in there. And I know it's something that you say.
I personally hate that.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I know it's something you say all the time, that it's not about your customer being in the networking group. Because the whole point of networking is tapping into other people's circle of influence, not selling to them. Yeah.
I always say you never know who knows who.
Right.
I have had this proven to me time and time and time again where, we've talked about, something's on your calendar and you don't know if you want to go, or in this situation where you feel like I'm just not qualified to be in that room. You get in that room and you start talking to people. Even last night I had game night and the women came over, and I always get nervous if some of my friends don't know the other friends. And okay, I had a moment where I patted myself on the back a little bit this morning, okay? And I was like, of course, all my friends mesh together because I attract people that I want to be like, or I attract people with these positive qualities. So it should have been no surprise to me that these ladies all had something to connect on, and on things that I would have never thought. Like, two of the moms really had a good connection, and I thought, okay, I did not see that coming. So it's the same thing when you're networking. You're in the room, you're trying to find somebody that is your ideal client, but you just don't know if I meet Donna and she's a realtor, but oh my gosh, she knows two other people that are realtors that have podcasts, and they're struggling to keep up with their podcasts and their realtor social media. So, then they go, oh, well, they're going to do the realtor social media. They'd love you to take over their podcast. But I walked in there thinking, oh, nobody in this room is my ideal client. Like, I just hate that limiting belief.
I know. I hear that a lot from people who are like, I'm looking for a networking group that it's business to business connections. And I work with bigger businesses. And so this networking group isn't going to be my source. And in my mind, I'm always like, you have no idea who's in that room. You could have CEO John in that room or CEO Sally. Okay. And you may have no idea. If they're not in the room, maybe their best friend is in that room and it's a perfect connection for you. But if you don't show up and you prejudge before you're there, then you have no idea. You're right. You have no idea who's in that room.
Limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, or maybe they're the same thing, they can really take a stronghold on you and make you shrink, second guess yourself, sit on the sidelines. Negative chatter, once it gets started, man, if you don't have a couple things to shut it down, it doesn't matter how much you believe in your work and how much it changes lives, that negative chatter can really stop you from taking action.
Right. And it can definitely keep so many talented people from even starting the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You might have the most inspiring, ingenious way to tackle a problem for somebody, but you're so intimidated that you're just not even using your voice. And therefore, you're not giving what you can offer out there. I mean, it is something that can really shut people down in networking. And it's unfortunate. I will say, I went to this one networking event, it was a while ago, and it was speed networking. Okay. Which I've always been like, oh, I want to do this. Okay. Which is why our Bond and Beyond group is going to do some speed networking in January because I'm so
Yay!
excited to put this on. Okay.
I'm so
But I went
excited.
to this one. I went to this one and it was speed networking. One side of the room sat in one place and the other side of the room moved, right? And so you got a different person coming in front of you. And I will never forget. I know I've shared this story before, but I totally think it's pertinent in especially what we're talking about now because I loved the result, right? So a gentleman sits in front of me. He's older. He's got the traditional gray hair of a very seasoned person in his profession. And guess what? He's a financial planner. And, just looking at him and hearing him talk about his 20 years plus experience, you just want to hand over your portfolio, right? But then in the next, 2 minutes or whatever we had, the next person right behind him, I mean, it could not have been a more unfortunate situation, was this young woman. I think she was 24.
Mm-hmm.
She was a financial planner.
Mm.
And when she said it, I was like, oh, that sucks for you to follow that guy, And she was
It
like,
makes me think of that movie. Do you know Bring It On, the cheer movie, where like the first group goes out and performs the routine, and then the second group comes out, and the judges' faces just like drop, and they can't even believe it's the same routine, and they're like, "Oh, this is not good for this person." That is what I'm seeing play out between you and this young financial planner, where she
right?
says like, "This is what I am," and she's probably trying to be confident, and your face was probably just like, Oh, sweetheart.
I know.
Oh, my
I
heart
think I
breaks for
said,
you.
"Oh, it's so unfortunate that you follow that guy." And she said,
Yeah.
"I know. I obviously didn't know he was a financial planner when we got in this order." Right? And
Okay,
I
so
was
when we
like,
do our event in January, we should keep in mind,
"Right?
check with the person in front of you and behind you. Do they do the same thing as you? You may wanna switch the order.
Right?" Yes, for sure, because it was so unfortunate. I was like, "Oh, no." And I said, "Well, tell me what you would say differentiates you from him." And
Mhm.
then she rose to the occasion. I was so proud of her because she rose to the occasion and she said, "I know in my industry people think age and experience is it." And she said, "But somebody like me might have a different, newer, more innovative way of looking at something that could really benefit you. I am going to work really hard to prove myself. I am going to work really hard for you. And that's something that's going to differentiate me. Do you want to be one of his hundreds of clients or do you want to be one of mine that I really value?" And I was like,
Mm.
good for you, girl. Like she rose to the occasion and she really pitched herself in the most difficult way scenario, most difficult atmosphere, right? And I was really proud of her because I was like, there you go, girl. But yes, if you ever speed network, okay, ask what the person in front of you does because that was rough. But, it's that she could have shrunk and she could have, been like, just forget it. He's already pitched you, don't even worry
Yeah.
about it. But she didn't. And that's what we're talking about. Like, you've got to get past that. You've got to get past your imposter syndrome.
I love that you shared that story because I actually thought of that story right away. And I was thinking, right, like that girl, it's like a fresh perspective, a fresh set of eyes on the business. Like,
Right.
you just don't know. Like, business has changed a lot, and he may be sitting on some old practices, and you got all the new fresh stuff, and you got AI in there, and it's, analyzing and giving details and data that he is still pulling old school, and maybe he only gives it quarterly and you can give it weekly. You just never know
Right.
what that younger person may have. So, just because you're younger in your business or newer in a business does not mean you don't have any value to provide. So, first, I think it's important to recognize it. It's normal. It's there. That is one of the things in my little panic, treatment or learning how to deal with panic and dissolve panic is part of it is face the panic, face the feelings that you are feeling. And that was really scary to do in the beginning. And then it's like, okay, I feel like my hands are going numb. That's always my first symptom of my panic. And just sit in it and go, okay, so what does that mean? So what do I do now that I've realized this is happening? So it's the same thing. What do I do now that I realize that I feel like I am too young in my business, and then how can we flip that a little bit? And even the most accomplished people feel it. I know I've been doing podcast management for 5 years, and there are moments where I go, am I integrating AI enough? Am I using this platform enough? Am I using the latest, greatest, and best practices? Am I aware of what's going on with the podcast players and the podcast platforms? And let me just tell you guys, this industry is moving just about as fast as social media practices are. So it is very intimidating to go, oh, this person really focuses on that and they know. We encourage you guys to be referral partners or to know other people in your industry. But I think that's also one of the benefits of knowing people in your industry is saying, hey, I'm using this platform. Have you had this experience? And they go, oh, girl, don't use that one anymore. Start using this one. You can really learn a lot of best practices from knowing those people that are in your industry. So, like I said, even the most accomplished people feel it. What is the difference? They don't let it make decisions for them. We just have to be disciplined. We have to keep our eye on the prize, know what the goal is, and don't let the emotions sway you.
So a suggestion would be instead of I'm not good enough, try I'm still growing and that's allowed. Instead of they're better than me, try they're further along and I can learn from them. Or
Mhm.
they may have been in this business longer, but that does not mean they're better than me. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a favorite of mine because there are 1,000 billion people that have been in this industry that I'm in longer than me, but that does not mean they're better than me at all. So in the beginning, when I came back to real estate, I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many people that have been here for decades. And I'm just now new again. And that could have held me back. That could have, shut me down. But really, I know the value that I can bring. I know the value that I can add. I know that I'm going to work harder than probably most people. And so, even though people have been around longer than me, it doesn't mean they're better than me. It doesn't mean they're going to
Mhm.
work harder than me. It means that they've been around longer. And that is it.
Yes, reframing is so important. I, uh, I think in my 45 years of experience of living, I have decided to be successful in life, you have to have a strong mental game. And I think that's what we're talking about here is shutting down the negative chatter, reframing things, and kind of putting your stake in the ground and claiming like, I am a realtor, I provide value, I know that I'm good at it. Like staking your claim on the things that you know are true about yourself. And my favorite, if I'm in the room, I belong to be in the room. Full stop.
Right. One of the expressions I've heard in the past is fear is false evidence appearing real. You have
Yes.
created this story in your mind and it feels real to you, but it's really not. And
Mhm.
that's just your fear taking over. So you've got to gain confidence through action, really. I mean, confidence doesn't just, you just aren't born with confidence. Like you gain confidence through action. The more you fall and get up, the more confident you become. The more you go to an event that you don't want to go to and realize that you made good connections and you
Mhm.
were received well, the more confident you get for the next
That's what
room
I
you
was
have
gonna
to walk
say, a
into.
positive experience.
Yeah. And it's like everybody thinks that you have to be perfect, but
No.
you don't have to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. I
I think
mean,
you just have to be authentic, right?
yeah, absolutely. And you have to go and you have to give your best and you have to fail and you have to recover and then do it again to realize that it's okay. Nobody's perfect. You are going to fail. It's fine. It's the getting back up again and doing it again that you learn from. With adult children, I see that one of my kids is very, very concerned about always making the right decision and always doing the right thing and always being perfect. And I'm gonna be honest, that's probably the kid who has also fell on his face the most and picked himself back up. And that is the kid that when he is out there in the real world, I worry the least about because
Yeah.
I know he has failed and recovered so many times that I know he knows he can do it. Literally, he said, "Oh, yeah, this is what I do." Okay. And so
Yeah.
I know that he has got that kind of confidence, but that doesn't come from always being successful and never failing. It doesn't. And
Right,
I mean,
right.
you know, I I have been doing failing and recovering for a very, very, very long time in my life. And that is how I have the confidence that I have today. So I don't think it's a negative to fail. I think it's a positive. I think you grow and learn from it. And I think you build slowly this mountain, this pile of confidence that you can take with you
Mhm,
anywhere, whether you change professions or whether you move to a new city or whatever, you can take it
mhm.
with you, but you have to build it first and you build it through action.
And going back to the girl financial advisor that was following the seasoned financial advisor, she may have had a little bit imposter syndrome, right? But I wonder how much she learned from that interaction with you, where you kind of challenged her and then she rose to the occasion. And I'm gonna guess that next interaction, she was a lot more confident, and I'm gonna guess the next networking event she went to, she was a lot more confident. It's just one small step, one brave intro, one follow-up email. That's how you prove to yourself that you're capable, not by waiting until you feel ready, because 'cause you're never gonna feel ready. It's not a thing.
Yeah, every time you show up anyway, even if your hands are shaking or your voice is wavering, you're building the kind of confidence that can't be shaken. Tiffany, you and I, people always say, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so confident." But like you said, I mean, this is for you 45 years of building all these blocks,
Mhm,
and for
mhm.
me, longer longer than that. We don't need to give a number. But it's like, no, I wasn't this confident 20, 30 years ago. I
Correct.
mean, this is like you reach a point where you're like, I have so much life experience that, even though I might be new in what I'm doing or I'm feeling less than, it's like bottom line is I know that if you go in with confidence and people are attracted to you, people like you, they're going to want to get to know you, and they're going to want to work with you. And that comes from, I think, a lifetime of networking, right?
Well, a lifetime of networking and a lifetime of building the muscle, right? Like so many different things. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's all a mental game. So do you have that confidence in yourself? There was a situation where I felt very judged by somebody on my ability on something. And finally, one day, I was just like, what? Why am I believing this garbage? And I was like, I know I'm so much better than that. And I know that in every day I show up and in everything, like, no, I don't know why I've believed this for so long. So finally I was like, I'm actually really good at this. And I was like, that's it. And ever since that moment where I claimed that for myself, I have never looked back and I have never thought about it again. And the other thing I really love that I've learned over the years is other people's opinion is none of my business. And
Mm-hmm.
so all these little taglines, slogans, sayings that you can have to arm yourself. And, we said in the last episode, building that story and being confident going in with that. And like the power statement, maybe doing a little power pose before you go in. If you're feeling like imposter syndrome, have that story in your back pocket, know your power statement, and know some truths about yourself. Go in there armed so that when you walk into the room and you do see that financial advisor that has had 20 years more than you, you go, that's cool. That's cool. He's got his set, I got my set, and let me network this room.
Oh my gosh, that makes me think of a conversation I literally was just having with my son the other day. We were talking about when he was in middle school, and he was talking about how I remember you told me that I can't control what other people say or do or think of me.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Mm-hmm.
only control how I receive it. And I was like, oh my gosh, you remember that? Because, you think
Yeah.
they don't remember,
Yeah.
they don't listen, let alone remember anything. But
Right.
but apparently he did.
Wow.
I know. And we were talking about it. I said, yeah, because even at my age now, I can't
Mm-hmm.
control what other people think of me. I cannot
Yeah.
control how they view me. All I can control is how I receive it. And
Yeah.
he said, yeah, I remember that came to my mind so many times in middle school because he was like,
Oh,
middle school is
wow.
awful. He's like, and
Mm-hmm.
then life got better through high school and certainly through college. But I said, it doesn't stop. As an adult,
Right.
you still have to think like that because
Mm-hmm.
if you concern yourself with what other people are thinking of you or how are other people receiving me, you're going to drive yourself nuts and you're not going to even be your true self. You're not going to be the person, the powerful, smart, capable person with this incredible business opportunity that you can bring to somebody. You're not going to be that person if you're so consumed with what others are thinking about you or how they're receiving you. And so, it harkens you back to middle school.
Right.
Remember
It's
how you
true.
survived middle school? That's kind of the same thing as networking.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I don't want to give anybody that much power over me. Like,
Right.
I refuse to let somebody else, like, I always think to myself, I always tell my kids, there's a million shades of paint because we all like a little something different. Not everybody is my cup of tea, and I am not everybody else's cup of tea.
Right.
And so I don't want to give my happiness, I don't want to give that power to somebody else. Like,
Exactly.
you do you. I'm over here doing me. I'm not hurting no one. I'm not being mean to no one. Like, I'm just doing my own thing. And, we can cohabitate. So if your imposter syndrome has been calling the shots, this is your reminder. You are not behind. You are qualified and you are needed.
Your lived experience, your perspective, your personality, that's what people connect with. That's what makes you memorable. That's what differentiates you in that room. Don't forget that.
All right. Are you ready to flip the switch, Donna?
Yes.
Here's your networking mode on tip for this week. Create 3-line confidence anchor. That's in quotes. This is your confidence anchor that you can repeat before your next event. Something like, I help people in a way only I can. I don't have to prove myself, just connect. Or there's someone here who needs what I offer. Say it out loud, let it ground you, and then walk into the room like you're supposed to be there because you are. Networking mode on.
If today's message gave you the nudge you needed, tag us on social and share your confidence anchor. We'd love to cheer you on and repost it. You're not alone in this, and you never have to network alone. You've been hanging out in the Link Up Lounge, your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Now it's your turn. Go make a powerful link today.
Networking mode on.